The protagonist of this manhwa finds himself in the middle of a devastated city. There, he leans on his sword, and never in a million years did he think that death would come so early. Our hero's name is Wen Yu. He is a 4th-grade warrior who was sent on a mission the moment he joined a unit. Now, only he remains among the numerous dead bodies around him. His unit was betrayed and used to attack 5th-grade mutant beasts into a trap. This was how they all became cannon fodder for the monsters. Regardless, he thinks he's still in a good situation. A huge, abominable monster suddenly appears behind him. Our hero picks up his sword and turns to face the beast because he has had enough of this suffering. Sadly, his attack misses the target, resulting in Wen Yu getting impaled by the vile beast's claws. He coughs up a chunk of blood as the monster picks up to put an end to him. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a peaceful city, and the protagonist jolts up from his bed. Shocked beyond words, he gazes at his palm, unable to tell how he's still alive. He quickly turns to his clock and sees that he has gone back in time to exactly a year before his demise. After that, he gets a text message on his phone. He opens the message to see his boss asking him to work overtime for a company project. However, he recalls that his company was dissolved during the Doomsday event. He drops back the phone and tries to collect his thoughts for a moment. The protagonist then realizes that he has truly gone back in time. Excitement rushes through his body as he can't believe that this is actually possible. At that moment, he vows never to be used as bait again. He swears to take charge of his own fate and not be exploited by anyone ever again. While thinking of how to prepare for the zombie outbreak, he looks over to the table, where he sees his backpack and a knife. He changes into clothes and heads out to prevent things from playing out the same way as in his past life. He stops in his tracks when he hears someone screaming for help. The voice is coming from the door across the room. Without hesitation, he smashes it open and sees a dead woman who has been torn up by a zombie. Across the room, he sees the repulsive creature. In this world, zombies are creatures that have been corrupted by magic energy, and their weakness is their magic core. As our hero sees the monster, he realizes that this is the beginning of Doomsday. Fortunately, he is already wielding a weapon to defend himself. The ferocious zombie instantly leaps towards him, ready to kill. Each zombie's magic core location is different, but luckily, Wen Yu still has his knowledge and combat experience from before he died. As the gap between them closes, he swiftly strikes the monster and kills it in one hit. After that, he gains a point for killing the low-level zombie. Our hero is glad to see that the system still works the same as before. Back then, as the world fell into chaos during the Doomsday, banknotes were reduced to scrap paper. Due to that, people relied on the exchange stone pillar to utilize their points. These points can't be traded and are only gotten from slaying monsters. With this exchange pillar, people can buy items and change their classes into one of the big 3. These 3 classes are the warrior, archer, and wizard. With this, one becomes twice as strong as a normal human. However, they can also receive mysterious powers if they change to a rare and hidden class. Wen Yu steps out to the hallway, where he sees 3 more zombies roaming around. Unlike in his past life, he plans to fight them and get the points now so that he can become a 1st-grade warrior. He looks around and sees that there are also more zombies behind him. Nevertheless, he charges forward to face the challenge. In the blink of an eye, he takes the head of one zombie, but another one grabs his shoulder from behind, ready to rip our hero to shreds. The protagonist is able to react fast enough to kill the monster before it harms him. However, he ends up with a broken elbow in the process. Seeing that his body isn't strong enough, he realizes that he needs to change his class quickly. Still, our hero has not forgotten about the horde of zombies rushing at him. With his blade in hand, he grips it firmly and slices through the repulsive creatures swiftly. Wen Yu stabs the last zombie in the head, and the fight comes to an end. If he can already take out this many at this stage, you just know the plot armor is about to be heavenly. With all the zombies dead, he has finally gathered 10 points and can now change his class. As Wen Yu looks into the dark hallway, an ominous creature approaches. He notices the evil aura of this deadly presence, and he starts to sweat like a goat. We then see the abominable monstrosity, which resembles a mutated wolf. The protagonist recognizes that the beast is the stray dog from the neighborhood, and it has mutated. The monster roars furiously and charges at him. However, our hero realizes that this is too much for him to handle. He turns around and starts to run away, but the mutated beast is quickly closing in on him. With its mouth ready to rip his flesh, the monster jumps at him, but our hero tries to leap out of the way. The situation worsens when he sees that the beast has bitten his leg tightly and it has no plans to let him go. The beast grips his leg firmly and tosses our hero through a glass door. Wen Yu groans as the glass shards pierce his body and he falls to the ground. With bloodlust in its eyes, the monster is ready to charge at him again. Our hero grabs a piece of glass and waits for the monster to make the first move. The mutated monster lunges at him while releasing a black aura from its body. Our hero braces himself because he isn't about to give up his second chance at life. The monster leaps high into the air but lands beside Wen Yu without attacking. This confuses the protagonist, and he wonders why the beast is behaving weirdly. The mutated dog just stares and growls at him viciously without doing anything else. The protagonist watches as the monster circles him, and he wonders if it's trying to prevent him from entering the store. He suddenly puts on a shocked expression when he sees a black vortex behind the monster. This vortex is known as a treasure trove, and it was a rare existence in his past life. Despite the fact that it appears haphazardly, one is guaranteed to get a high-grade item once they go inside. Our hero realizes that the monster discovered the treasure trove earlier on. However, this vortex only allows humans to pass through. He stares at the beast, knowing that nothing will come out of its efforts to protect the treasure trove, but the monster continues to hover around the vortex. It suddenly glances at Wen Yu, and our hero notices that the monster has seen its interest in the trove. With its fangs and sharp claws, the beast pounces at him, but our hero stands strong, refusing to be intimidated by the monster. He tries to slash the beast with the glass shard, but he misses. In the process, his arm is wide open, leaving the monster to chew on it. Fear grips the protagonist because he doesn't understand how he messed up this encounter. He is forced back to the ground as the monster firmly holds onto his arm. He grabs the knife beside him and furiously stabs the monster, hoping it will just die. You can see the desperate look in his eyes as he attacks the beast. But this only makes the mutated beast more angry. Wen Yu immediately realizes that he is completely screwed. So much plot armor. Out of anger, the beast rips out his arm, leaving the protagonist in agonizing pain. While he puts pressure on the wound, he jumps out of the way to get some distance between him and the enemy. He then tries to calm himself down at the moment. He recalls that injuries like this can be regenerated by simply leveling up. The only other option he has is to enter the trove in order to save his life. However, the monster charges in again for another attack. The protagonist patiently waits for the beast to close in on him. He leaps out of the way as the beast is about to land, causing it to crash into the ground. With this opportunity, he reaches for the treasure trove. Sadly, this mangy mutt just doesn't know when to give up. It quickly rushes back at him and bites firmly on his leg. Wen Yu is in a lot of pain and caught up in this awful dilemma. Seeing no other choice, he grabs his knife and cuts off his leg for the monster, since it wants his leg so desperately. As the beast takes his foot, the protagonist goes into the trove with the remaining parts of his body. By the time the dog falls back to the ground, Wen Yu is long gone, and the vortex continues to distort the space around it. In the cold chambers of the treasure trove, another vortex appears and spits out our hero on the floor. As he regains consciousness, he notices a treasure chest close by. A crazy expression appears on his face when he realizes that he made it. Seeing that he gave up his limbs to get here, he hopes that whatever is inside the chest will be worth it. When he opens the chest, he sees just a black scroll inside. He looks as the scroll levitates into the air and notices that it's a hidden job change scroll. Our hero is beyond lucky because hidden classes tend to have stronger basic skills than regular classes. As his hands touch the scroll, a bright light bursts around the room. His lost arm begins to regenerate until we see that it is fully back to normal. A system message pops up, telling him that he has acquired the Soul Master class. Not only is he glad that his injuries are healed, but he will also gain a skill. He looks through the system menu, wondering what the rank of the Soul Master skill will be. The system designates him as a first-grade Soul Master, and he acquires the Soul Realm skill. He then reads the information about it. The Soul Realm is a living space for soul pets, and he gains a new realm for every level he gains. After that, he acquires his first soul pet. A strange-looking little creature with wings and one eye suddenly appears. The system shows that the pet's first skill is an S-rank skill. The soul pet then flies to our hero and enters his body. With this, it merges with the master's soul and increases his basic attributes. Wen Yu focuses his mind momentarily and is able to fully merge with the soul pet and activate a battle form. After merging with it, he sees that the combined basic stats exceed those of the other classes. With this, our hero is confident that he'll be able to crush other classes on the same level as him. As he walks back to the vortex, he wonders how far he'll be able to get with his new abilities. This long journey of survival is something he's looking forward to. Back outside, the mutated dog is still hovering around the treasure trove. It becomes cautious when it sees the trove open up and our hero jumps out of it. The monster growls viciously at him, ready to continue their fight from where they left off. The protagonist thanks the beast for helping him find the trove in the first place. To show gratitude, he decides to send the monster to the deepest parts of hell. The monster growls again before lunging at him quickly. However, Wen Yu evades, causing the beast to crash into the wall. After that, he lands a kick on the beast and jumps out of the way. Our hero is shocked to see how strong the monster is because his attack barely scratches it. The situation remains tough for him, so he thinks of another way to deal with this. The hero activates his newly gained battle form, hoping to turn the tides of the battle. The mutated dog lunges at him once more, but this time the protagonist is unfazed. He smacks the vicious monster and activates his Soul Strike skill. This increases the effect of his attack, causing the monster a great deal of pain. The beast falls to the ground, howling in pain as the skill takes its effect. Eventually, it loses its strength and can only growl softly. The protagonist gazes at his defeated foe and sees just how powerful his new skill is. The fear in the monster's eyes is evident as our hero approaches it. However, Wen Yu realizes that something isn't right. Despite his attack, the monster isn't dead and is in fact staggering to get back up. Suddenly, the monster activates a skill, causing its sharp teeth to grow even longer. The skill allows the beast to grow stronger and reduce the pain it's feeling. The hero wonders how the monster even has an S-rank skill. He stands with his back to a door as the beast gets ready for another round. Both the monster and the protagonist are classified as first-grade beings. Nevertheless, Wen Yu sees that the beast has the potential for unlimited growth, meaning that if the fight lasts longer, he will be in a worse situation. He quickly jumps out of the way in order to retreat from the battle. As he runs to the exit, the monster is quickly closing the gap between them. As he gets closer to the door, he grabs a food shelf and tosses it to the ground. This gives him the chance to flee from the store safely and stall the beast. Back in the store, the monster is trapped beneath the shelf without a way to break free. Wen Yu turns back and hears the loud roars of the beast, letting him know that the monster isn't dead. He feels the monster's unique skills will be able to dominate the world, but he wonders why he never saw something like this in his past life. He quickly brushes the thought aside and goes ahead to face more important matters. As he runs through the city, he recalls where a large treasure trove will appear, and the rare items that can be found there. He sets himself on the path to the exchange pillar first to get some items he will need. His eyes suddenly see something terrifying, and he quickly stops. Wen Yu is baffled when he turns to the side and sees a horde of mindless zombies. By the look of things, the area has fallen at a quick rate. He carefully watches the mindless beasts in order not to attract too much attention to himself. However, since this is the only path to the exchange pillar, he decides to push through the horde. The zombies immediately notice him and start surrounding the protagonist. However, Wen Yu is able to take down his first target easily. Another zombie tries to attack from his blind spot, but our hero is well aware of his surroundings. However, he soon finds himself surrounded by countless monsters. The hero yells in a loud voice that pushes the monsters far away from him. His demeanor changes to a cold and terrifying one. Wen Yu swears that he will not be stopped in this life, and as he charges forward, he vows to slay all of them. A minute later, the ground is filled with the corpses of the zombies. Our hero makes his way to the pillar, leaving behind a trail of dead monsters. His eyes light with joy as he finds the pillar, and then he places his hand on it to activate the system. The system welcomes him and tells him to pick the items he wishes to collect. The protagonist clicks on the Items tab, which reveals all the items in the store. He sees that the items are the same as when the Doomsday first started in his previous life. He then types through the search bar to look for some healing potions. The system shows him a good number of different potions, and he sees that there are a lot more than before. Sadly for him, these potions require a lot of points. Wen Yu is too broke to afford the high items, so he goes for the basic ones that cost him 100 points. After chugging the potion, it takes effect on his body immediately. With his body fully recovered, he decides to get some other items with his remaining points. He receives a magic crystal that can evolve the physical abilities of people in the first grade. As he takes the crystal, the system warns him that using all of the non-attribute crystals will cause 5 trash skills to appear. He then crushes the crystal to apply its effects. Since he has a unique class, the non-attribute magic crystal doesn't affect him at all. He then sees that his physical abilities have improved a little, which means he can equip better weapons. A few hours later, he heads over to a store. He browses through the equipment there to look for things he'll need when the treasure trove at Jangbin Park opens. Wen Yu picks up an axe and a chainsaw, which will be good enough for him, considering his physical abilities. Despite the fact that Soulmaster is a strong class, he still lacks in some skill areas compared to other classes. Due to this, the hero needs more lethal weapons in his arsenal. As he heads out of the store, he thinks of how to strengthen his body in the future so that surviving will be much easier for him. Suddenly, he hears someone crying for help. He turns around and hears the voice coming from the inside of a building. The entrance of the door is stained with blood, most likely from the victims of the zombies. Inside the building, we see a man and a woman about to get mauled by the mindless creatures closing in on them. The man realizes that they are screwed because the monsters are too much for them to break through. The girl refers to him as her brother and asks if this is the end for them. The guy tells his sister to follow behind him when he charges in first. As she tries to stop her brother from making a stupid decision, the guy reaches for an iron rod on the ground. He braces himself to face the monsters and tells his sister that they'll die if they don't fight. The guy bravely leaps into the fray like a daring hero. However, the zombies smack him away, sending him crashing into a wall. The poor guy falls to the ground and struggles to the ground. His helpless sister screams his name and rushes to his side to make sure that he's okay. Her brother tells her to watch out for the monsters that are about to grab her from behind and have a feast. All of a sudden, an axe swings out from nowhere and splatters the blood of the vile creatures everywhere. The siblings look up to their savior, who warns them about showing their backs to the zombies. They gaze at our hero and are baffled by how he is able to kill the zombies with one strike. After that, Wen Yu charges in to take care of the remaining repulsive monsters. With one swing of his axe, he turns the horde of zombies into shish kebabs. He tells the siblings to stop moping around and follow him to exit the building. They both get up with smiles on their faces, showing how glad they are to be saved. As the protagonist continues slicing through the zombies, the man takes his sister's hand so they can quickly catch up. While running through the building, they are amazed at how strong the hero is. Wen Yu is just wreaking havoc happily as he plows through the monsters. His eyes are glowing like those of a possessed being with tremendous power. Our hero mindlessly jumps into the crowd of zombies, bringing nothing but death to his enemies. With all the monsters defeated, Wen Yu assures the siblings that it's safer for them outside, and he tells them not to wander around anymore. The brother humbly thanks him for saving them. Just as our hero gets to the door, the dude asks him about where he's going. As he tells them that he's going to look for more weapons, the lady yells out that she knows a place with plenty of weapons. The protagonist is interested in knowing the place, and she says that it's the police station at Sanhui Road. However, the girl says that the station is swarming with hundreds of zombies all over the place. In the blink of an eye, Wen Yu disappears from their sight to go check out the station. This guy is definitely deranged. The siblings are concerned about our hero's safety and hope that his strength will be able to help him. The protagonist races through the city to the police station. From his memories, he recalls that the station should be right in front of him. He suddenly stops as the building beside him explodes, sending corpses and rubble flying through the air. As the dust clears up, large mutated rats start coming out to the streets. They swarm the dead bodies and start feeding on them. While the protagonist hides behind a wall, he wonders why the whole place is filled with mutant beasts. He assumes the cause of the situation has to be in the police station. After that, he decides to climb up a pole to observe the scene from a higher point. When he gets to the top of the pole, he jumps to the rooftop of a nearby building. From there, he sees a horrendous sight that is bound to leave a mark on his mind. The entire police station is in shambles, and it's swarming with zombies and mutated beasts. The two factions are wreaking havoc as they fight and feast on each other. The protagonist wonders if the zombies are being attracted to people who might still be in the station. Seeing that the zombies are being restricted by the mutant rats puts a smile on his face. He then jumps off the rooftop into the chaos going down below. Meanwhile, some zombies are struggling to break through some iron bars. On the other side, a police officer is weeping at the feet of a dead little girl. His comrades refer to him as Chief Wang and try to warn him about the zombies that are about to break in. The officers are doing their best to hold the line, but the number of zombies is increasing at an alarming rate. They turn to face Wang when he says that he has decided on what to do. With an enraged expression, Wang tells them that he wants to avenge his dead daughter. The female officer tells him to use his dead brain before he gets everyone killed. They are no match against the rats, and there are far too many zombies as well. However, the police chief tells them that he'll handle the situation himself and won't force them to join him. The zombie horde eventually breaks through the iron bars, and the police officers all look like they have lost hope. Wang whips out his pistol to kill the vile creatures who sent his precious daughter to an early grave. Screams erupt all over the station as the zombies break in, but the chief officer still stands his ground to face them. Soon enough, Wang realizes that he isn't as brave as he thinks he is because he's too scared to pull the trigger. A zombie leaps at him at that moment, causing his life to flash before his eyes. However, an axe comes flying through and kills the monster before it can kill the chief officer. While he tries to figure out what happened, his comrades tell him to look at the person outside. He then sees our hero, who's taking on the entire swarm of monsters. Wen Yu is swiftly plowing through the zombies and gaining points at an incredible rate. While most will not dare to attempt such an insane act, the protagonist's expression shows that he loves these kinds of fights. After fighting over 100 zombies, he acquires up to 1,000 points of experience. Wang stares at our hero in amazement and wonders if Wen Yu is truly a human being. The other police officers marvel at how easily the protagonist kills the zombies. With most of the zombies dead, one of the officers suggests that they make their escape before more of the monsters return. Meanwhile, our hero approaches the chief police officer. The chief introduces himself as Wang Dahai and tells Wen Yu how impressive his skills are. On the other hand, the protagonist is unbothered by the compliments and just wants to know why they haven't left yet. The chief tells him that he wants to ask for a little favor from him. The guy looks over at his poor, dead daughter and goes to pick up her body. While doing that, he asks the hero to avenge the poor girl who was slaughtered by the mutant rats. Wen Yu tells him that it's an impossible feat for just the two of them, but the chief says that he has an idea. Wang reveals that the police station wasn't filled with so many zombies until he lured the monsters there. He originally planned to have the zombies and rats eliminate themselves. This was all to avenge his daughter, but in the end, the mutant rates eventually became stronger. He then tells the protagonist that he wants to use the explosive in his possession to eliminate all the mutant rats. Basically, he wants to lure rats and commit suicide with the explosive, while our hero deals with the stragglers. Of course, Wen Yu calls him a crazy man for planning something so terrible. As night falls in the city, they both get ready to carry out the plan. Mutant rats can be seen moving around the area and looking for their next victim. Chief Wang asks the protagonist if he's ready in order to make sure that they're not missing any key detail. Wang tells him to run as soon as he rushes at the monster. He also tells the hero to forget about him if the plan fails. Seeing how desperate the officer is, Wen Yu asks why he is hell-bent on dying. The man tells him that the true killer of his daughter is hiding in the middle of the pack of rats. The ones on the outer perimeter are just the lackeys, while the main boss hides among them. The rats are alerted when Wang starts to rush towards them. With the explosives in his hand, he charges straight in and tells Wen Yu to clear a path for him. A huge swarm of rats stands before him, and the main rat boss that he is after. They quickly charge at the chief officer when they notice his hostile presence. Fortunately for him, our hero swings in and beheads the vile creature. He stands to face the rest of the monsters and tells Wang to go on ahead. With the path opened up, the chief runs ahead, while the protagonist blocks off the rats that try to follow him. Wen Yu looks back at the man and admits that he is truly brave for wanting to die in order to avenge his daughter. The police chief rushes into the wall of a building, breaking it in the process. He groans due to the pain when he lands. As he crawls along the ground, he vows to blow up the Rat King this time. The man manages to stagger to his feet and walk towards the monster. Standing before him is the giant and ferocious Rat King, which is a level 2 monster. You can see the fear in Wang's eyes as he looks up at the monstrosity in front of him. Suddenly he starts to hear the voice of his dead daughter, Yao Yao. The voices continue to torment his mind, and he even starts seeing the images of the poor girl when she was devoured by the Rat King. He stretches out his hand and runs towards the Rat King to save the image of his daughter, which he's seeing. On the other hand, the protagonist stands on a rooftop, saving himself from the repulsive creatures on the ground. Since an explosion hasn't gone off yet, he wonders if the man has failed in his mission. Moments later, the rats start rushing into the building to go back to their master. As they enter the building, a devastating explosion goes off, bringing down the building and sending shrapnel flying through the air. The hero shields himself from the shockwave caused by the explosion and sees that the man has completed his mission. Wen Yu feels the chief was very cool for his brave deed, and because of this, he decides to pay his respects by taking care of the remaining creatures. The protagonist jumps down from the roof to inspect the scene after the explosion. He sees that most of the monsters are dead, and there are a lot of magic crystals he can harvest as well. The first crystal he picks up is a first-grade beast attribute, while the second one has a dual attribute of beast and fire. He crushes the crystals to absorb them, and his soul pet pops out to take everything. After that, he thanks Officer Wang for his noble sacrifice and promises never to forget the favor. However, he sees something moving within the rubble of the destroyed building. He quickly rushes to check it out while his soul pet flies back into his body. While he checks around the debris, something faintly moves underneath the rocks. Suddenly, the Rat King bursts out of the debris, revealing that it's not an easy creature to kill. Fear and confusion grip our hero as the ferocious monster sets its devilish eyes on him. Chief Wang also reveals that he is not dead either, despite his efforts. He then tells the protagonist to quickly kill the Rat King before it's too late. He also says that the rates protected him from most of the explosion, hence why he is not dead. The hero tells him not to worry about the monster because the Rat King has already been seriously injured. As the deadly beast lunges at him, he just smiles and keeps a calm composure. He instantly dodges out of the way before the monster is able to hit him. With his skill activated, our hero doesn't even fear a second-grade monster. He shoots out a beam from his eyes, which incapacitates the monster. With that, he slowly approaches the beast with his axe. Even as he gets very close to the monster, the rat is unable to get up from its position. Wen Yu swings down with his axe and gives the foul beast a quick death. With the defeat of the Rat King, the system awards him with 153 points. The police officer steps out of hiding and looks over to the dead monster. With this, He has successfully avenged the death of his precious daughter. The protagonist is also happy that he was able to help the brave man avenge his daughter. Chief Wang falls to the ground and humbly thanks the hero for his help. Wen Yu tells him there's no need to be so polite, and he tosses 3 crystals over to the man. The officer catches them and looks at the precious jewels in his palm. The hero offers to split the spoils of war evenly with him, leaving the officer shocked. After that, Wen Yu decides to head out, but Wang wants to know where he's going. The protagonist then tells him that he's going to Zhangbin Park. The scene shifts to the park, which is in complete ruins and is swarming with countless nasty zombies. While on a rooftop, the hero looks through his stats on the system menu. He sees that he will soon become a 2nd-grade Soul Master and has also gathered thousands of points. With this, it won't be hard for him to enter the treasure trove. According to his memories, the trove will open by night. A chilling fear runs through his body when he sees a giant lion emerge in the park. He recognizes the feral beast as a lion known as Simba. Mufasa better come get his deranged kid. The zombies start running towards the mutant lion mindlessly. Enraged by this, the beast shoots deadly scorching flames from its mouth. Our hero is caught in another dilemma and has no idea why the mutated monster decided to show up now. Wen Yu recalls how Simba dominated the entire city in his past life. Back then, the beast terrorized the whole city and its people. People ran for their lives and begged for help, but they couldn't escape the beast's flames. The mutated lion lunged forward at anyone who tried to stand in its way. Not only people, but 5th-grade monsters were also no match for it. In the end, all that remained was the terrifying beast in the midst of the destruction. At the current time, Simba looks up as if it notices something nearby. Our hero quickly ducks to prevent himself from getting discovered. Seeing that he's too weak to face the monster, he heads off in another direction to kill some zombies and gather experience points. Later on, we see some hunters exploring the area nearby. With the zombies being distracted by Simba, the hunters head off to look for treasure. 2 guys who look like twins tell their team leader that it'll be too dangerous if the lion finds them. However, the leader tells them that more wealth can only be acquired by facing danger. He assures them that there's treasure, but one of the twins doubts the leader. The leader then shows them a crescent-shaped pendant and asks if they know what it is. The guy tells them that he got the pendant and a map when he went into a silver vortex. Suddenly, the pendant floats into the air and transforms into a treasure trove portal. With this, he's assured that priceless treasures await them. Meanwhile, our hero is finishing his hunt against the hopeless zombies. His eyes quickly take notice of the treasure trove that has appeared high in the sky. Without delay, he rushes over to the trove while doing his best not to attract Simba's attention. 10 minutes later, he leaps through some buildings and finally arrives at the location of the trove. Looking closer at it, he sees that it's a 1st-grade treasure trove. He quickly leaps inside the portal to see what kind of items he'll find. Unknown to him, the foul mutated dog that he fought earlier is watching from the shadows. It lets out a loud roar as the protagonist is swallowed by the vortex. Moments later, our hero appears on the other side of the portal and lands inside the trove. The system welcomes him to the trove, and this solidifies his assumptions about being able to get lots of awesome items here. He looks to his side and sees a platform with a lot of statues and the hunters who opened up the treasure trove. As he tries to make sense of what's happening, the other hunters are also confused as to why another person has entered the trove. One of them decides that he'll kill the protagonist, but the team leader tells the son of a gun to wait and see how strong our hero is. The team leader puts on an innocent smile and tells Wen Yu not to be nervous. As the hero gets onto the platform, the leader tells him that it's prohibited for humans to kill each other in the treasure trove. However, the protagonist feels they are silly for being concerned about his safety. He smiles at them, knowing that the only thing keeping them safe are the rules of the trove. One of the statues then projects a screen showing the rules of the treasure trove. Apart from the no-killing rule, it also states that those who pass the highest difficulty of the challenge will receive the ultimate treasure. Our hero is more intrigued about this ultimate treasure and can't wait to find out what it is. One of the twins slams his hand on a statue and states that he'll be the first one to take the challenge. The system then transports him to a different area where his first challenge begins. This challenge involves killing the zombies that spawn on the platform. Our hero recalls that in his previous life, treasure troves had different types. Depending on the type, it can either give you nice rewards or put you in a deadly situation. After that, he watches as the first challenger slams down on the zombies of the first challenge. The hunter easily slices the zombie with his daggers, giving the monster a quick end. As the guy stands at the feet of his defeated foe, our hero feels they are lucky to have found a friendly treasure trove. The system erases the zombie's body and awards the hunter with an F-rank steel sword. The guy collects the sword and proceeds to the next level of the challenge. This time, 3 zombies spawn on the platform, and they dive toward him at the same time. He easily evades them and puts an end to the foul monsters with one swing of his blade. With that, he completes the challenge. With how easy the challenges are, the dude feels that he's just getting free rewards. He accepts the F-rank suit as a reward and proceeds to the next challenge. His teammates are impressed by his skills and feel they'll easily breeze through the challenges. However, our hero knows it'll get more dangerous as the hunter continues. Suddenly, a huge zombie lands on the platform, leaving the hunter very shocked. After analyzing the beast, he sees that the monster has 4 attributes. Despite its huge size, the zombie quickly leaps towards him. The guy tries to block with his daggers, but the monster grabs him and slams the dude into the ground. Seeing that he's no match for the monster, he decides to give up. The zombie slowly disappears, and the system lets him know that he has failed the challenge. The guy admits that he was careless and got too greedy. After that, the protagonist decides to be the next person to take on the Troves challenge. The team leader tells him to go ahead while standing by the side and watching. Our hero tells the hunters that they'll be too shocked by his skills when they see it. One of the hunters refers to their leader as Tao, saying that he'll teach Yu a lesson when they leave the Trove. Regardless, Tao tells them to just observe and not be too careless around the hero. Yu swings down his axe at his first target and easily clears the first challenge. As the monster's body dissipates, he collects his reward and proceeds to the next level. He instantly slices through the 3 zombies that appear and completes the second level. With excitement in him, he proceeds to the third level without delay. The huge zombie appears again and lunges straight at our hero. As Yu evades the monster's attacks, the last challenger remembers that he failed at this stage. The protagonist takes up his sword and slashes the zombie in half. This is just a warm-up for our hero, and the monster is nothing but an appetizer for him. The other hunters marvel at how incredible Yu's skills are because they've never seen such strength before. Scared for his life, the son of a gun wonders if it's still a good idea to rob the protagonist. With a devilish excitement in his eyes, our hero proceeds to the next level of the challenge. Another set of zombies appear on the platform and set their eyes on the protagonist. They instantly lunge at him, but they don't know that our hero is locked in. Yu instantly jumps out of the way, causing the 2 zombies to hit each other. While the monsters are trying to recover, our hero knows that his 20 attributes far surpass the 4 attributes of the zombies. With this, he continues to blaze through the challenge levels and pick up all kinds of awesome rewards along the way. After clearing the 6th level, he is rewarded with an F-rank protection jade. Then, after the 7th challenge level, he gets a teleportation scroll, and by the 8th level, the system awards him with an F-rank storage rink. He glances over at the 3 rewards to assess them. The protection jade helps to offset different levels of attacks from different level creatures. The scroll allows him to move to another location within a limited range, and the ring can basically store any item. The protagonist is excited to receive such awesome rewards. On the other hand, Tao feels that our hero is cheating his way through the challenges. I guess that's the excuse all weaklings come up with. Yu then collects all his rewards. For someone who is only a first-grade hunter, he can't believe how lucky he is. Suddenly, the 9th challenge begins without asking, leaving our hero struck with fear. A huge gate that's emanating a devilish aura suddenly appears on the stage. The protagonist recognizes it as a demon gate and wonders why it's appearing now. He suddenly hears a voice asking him how he knows it's a demon gate. Yu tries to find the origin of the voice, but the voice reveals itself to be the guardian of the treasure trove. However, this is the first time that the protagonist is hearing of a guardian. He also sees that other hunters can't hear the voice. The guardian tells him that a big bad guy is sealed behind the demon gate, and our hero is a bit nervous about this. As the monster tries to break out of the gate, the guardian tells Yu that he has a very slim chance of defeating it. Considering how strong he is, our hero is baffled to hear that his chances are so low. Regardless, the guardian laughs at him and tells him to try his best against the monster. Yu's eyes grow wide with fear as he sees the demonic entity emerge from the gate. The protagonist wonders just what kind of monster he is looking at. The guardian then tells him that it's a first-grade ancient demon, and also the controller of the demon world. However, the monster's attributes are above 20 points, and it has a one-shot SS rank skill. As the beast charges at our hero, the guardian leaves him to become food for the demon. While the protagonist is still in shock, the demon leaps into the air and smashes down straight at him. He manages to evade the attack in time before being turned into mashed potatoes. As he shields himself from the impact, he wonders why the beast has a one-shot skill. The demon then activates the said skill in order to send our hero to an early grave. Caught in a dire situation, Yu decides that he has to wait for the skill to time out before he launches a counter. The vile demon lets out a loud and terrifying roar. It starts swinging hard at the protagonist, but he is able to evade slightly. Thanks to his experience from his past life, the hero is able to dodge all the demon's attacks. The monster continues to rampage and eventually pushes our hero into a tight spot. Wen Yu is in another tight dilemma because the arena is too small for him to fully maneuver about. As the beast closes in on him, he activates his Soul Strike skill to buy some more time for himself. Regardless, the monster strikes down again and is unaffected by the protagonist's skill. Wen Yu tries to strike with his sword and wonders if the demon even has a soul. The Guardian then tells him that the demon's consciousness has been erased, and that the SS rank skill has a 30-minute cooldown period. Wen Yu braces himself to strike again as the timer on the skill finishes. However, the deranged demon lunges at him again, and this time, it manages to strike our hero. The demon's forceful punch sends the protagonist flying through the air. Luckily, his protective jade activates and shields him from the damage. He manages to recover quickly but is still wounded. Thanks to that deadly punch, he now sees just how much physical power the demon has. With the jade in his hand, he sees that it can only protect him from damage for 9 more times. He puts it back in his pocket and whips out his axe to face the monster. Since the demon can't instantly kill him right now, he quickly rushes at the beast. The deranged beast charges in too and lands a haymaker on our hero's pretty face. So much for being able to face the beast. As the jade nullifies the damage, he strikes down with his axe. His plan is to keep attacking one spot until he kills the monster. The monster smacks his face again, but the jade's effects quickly cancel out the damage. The protagonist can barely stand straight after getting beat up so much. As he glances at the demon, he notices a crack in its armor. Wen Yu then rushes forward with a seething rage to put an end to the monster. The demon matches his energy as well, and even goes further to knock the wind out of our hero. The protagonist takes the damage in order to stab the demon at its weak spot. In the end, the demon is defeated. Our hero barely stands straight while clutching his ghastly wound. The Guardian is impressed by this feat and heals the protagonist as an additional reward. Wen Yu is amazed by how effectively the healing light recovers all his injuries. As he hears the Guardian's voice again, he turns around and sees a short midget who reveals himself. The hero asks if the short stuff has been the one talking to him this whole time. The midget confirms it and says he can do whatever he wants in his territory. Wen Yu then asks who exactly he is, and the midget introduces himself as Al-Qaeda, the guardian of the 195th treasure trove. With a stern look, the protagonist asks if troves are really protected by guardians. Al-Qaeda pops out a big book and tells him that only high-ranking treasure troves have guardians. According to the book's rules, guardians aren't allowed to meet survivors during duty. However, Al-Qaeda makes himself known because he finds our hero intriguing. When Wen Yu asks about who created the Guardian regulations, Al-Qaeda tells him that it's none other than the omnipotent master of the world. Still feeling confused, the protagonist asks who the master is, but the Guardian tells him that he doesn't have the right to know that. Lastly, Wen Yu asks the Guardian why there are suddenly magic monsters in classes. However, Al-Qaeda says that all that information is confidential. Our hero is sad because this little miscreant hasn't been able to answer anything important. After that, the Guardian asks him to bend down. He decides to play along since he still wants to get the ultimate reward. Seeing how anxious the protagonist is, the Guardian gets ready to hand him his reward. The short stuff pulls out a piece of paper from another dimension and tells Wen Yu to take it. He explains that it isn't a regular piece of paper, but some kind of treasure. As our hero looks down at the blank paper, the system detects it and starts identifying it. When the writings on the paper are revealed, he can't believe his eyes. The paper is revealed to be the first chapter of the Black Book Curse, and it allows him to unleash the power of darkness. The hero reads through the paper and admits how awesome this item is. He can't wait to find the rest of the pages. Since he proved his combat ability, the Guardian decides to put him in a human sequence with a sequence number of 2. The protagonist is shocked to find out that there's someone ahead of him. Then he asks Al-Qaeda what the human sequence is. The Guardian tells him that the sequence is a list of those with potential, and these people will get the Trove Guardian's help and support. Wen Yu then gets up and puts the paper in his storage ring. All this information he got just makes him more excited to see who is ahead of him. As he teleports away, the Guardian tells him that he'll be given a small cheat whenever he enters the treasure trove. He then gets teleported back outside the arena, where the other hunters notice his appearance. He checks out his teleportation scroll and storage ring, knowing that these items will be very useful to him. He then turns to face Tao, who calls out to him. While the hunters are laughing nervously, Wen Yu asks them why they're calling him. With a cold sweat running down his spine, Tao asks if Wen Yu wants to have some teammates. He offers to be Wen Yu's comrade, but our hero doesn't want these sly weaklings going anywhere with him. The protagonist decides to deal with them once they leave the area. One of the twins calls him out for looking down on them and swears to get revenge one day. However, his brother shuts him up before he spouts any more nonsense. Seeing that they are not needed, Tao and his group decide to take their leave first. As the vortex spins in the sky, the mutated dog lies in wait for its target. The hunters then jump out and crash to the ground like fools. One of them suggests that they ambush the protagonist later so that they can get all the good items. But the hunters are struck speechless when they see something scary. They quickly tell the oblivious hunter to run away because the monster behind him is about to turn him into a quick meal. Sadly, he's not able to react in time, causing the monster to quickly overwhelm him. The other twin yells out to his brother like a wimp instead of actually trying to help. Later on, the hero jumps out of the portal and arrives at the scene. He sees one of the twins trying to save his brother, but the mutated dog proves to be more powerful and ferocious than they think. The protagonist wonders why the beast has suddenly come there. As it rushes towards them, the twin whips out his weapon and vows to slay the beast, but all this monster sees is just another target to satisfy its raging hunger. The dog knocks out the hunters from its path because they are not its actual target. Seeing how stubborn the monster is, the protagonist decides to fight it till one of them dies. The monster leaps at him, and he barely manages to dodge its sharp claws. As they tussle, our hero is able to wound the beast with his blade. However, this causes the mutant dog to go into a berserk mode. Wenyu sees that the situation will only get worse because the beast gets stronger as it sustains more injuries. Nevertheless, he decides to go all out and see who will last longer in the fight. As the hero and the mutant dog clash against each other with full force, the force of their attack sends each other flying backward. Wenyu crashes into a pole and coughs up a lot of blood, while the monster crashes to the ground. Despite using his soul strike, the hero is shocked to see that the beast can defend against it. The monster growls at him with a ferocious look before suddenly walking away. The protagonist is confused by this and wonders why the monster just left. He assumes that his soul strike must have done more damage than he thought. He then decides to spare the mutant dog for now. He vows to end the monster the next time it dares to come after him. After that, he rushes off to the exchange pillar so that he can level up to level 2 immediately. He suddenly hears loud stomps, which causes him to stop and look for where the sound is coming from. He turns around and sees the mutant dog running straight at him again. However, he feels there's something off there. The monster seems to be running away from something rather than running to attack him. Fear grips the protagonist when he sees the monstrous Simba chasing after the dog. The mutant lion shoots out lasers from its eyes, hoping to roast everything in its way. The rays not only hit the dog, but manage to hit the hero and throw him out of the way. While struggling to get back up, he curses the useless dog for leading the lion back to him. Caught in a dire dilemma, our hero is confused about what action to take. The only hope he sees is to get to the exchange pillar as fast as possible. The lion is shocked to see Wenyu race off while the mutant dog runs with him as well. The protagonist hopes to make it in time and use the level-up trial to escape the fiery beast. However, Simba has already closed up most of the gap between them and is almost at his neck. Just as the beast tries to slash him, the hero disappears in that instant. Simba is left confused as the monster gazes at the exchange pillar. The beast lets out a loud roar due to the frustration of not finishing off its target. It then turns to see that the mutant dog is still there for the taking. Meanwhile, our hero is panting heavily after having just escaped the monster narrowly. If he had been delayed by just a second, he would have been sliced up like minced meat. He then sets his sights on the level-up trial, recalling that it's the same as in his previous life. He finds himself in a separate space where no one can interrupt from the outside. Regardless, he ponders what to do once he leaves the space and returns to the city. His attention switches to the scary entity that suddenly appears before him. Wenyu gazes at the huge figure and is completely speechless. He then equips his weapons and gets ready to fight. The huge monster with sharp fangs before him is known as the Rabbit Killer, and this is the boss he has to slay. Due to him being in the sequence list, the system tells him to complete the trial within 10 minutes, or else he won't be able to access the level-up trial for the next 10 days. The protagonist becomes more nervous about the fight after seeing that he has a time limit. The Rabbit Killer leaps into the air, ready to smash the hero to bits. As it closes in on him, the timer begins to count down. Wenyu braces himself for the fight, knowing that this trial won't be an easy one. He attacks the monster with his weapon, hoping to end things quickly. As both their attacks clash, the hero makes sure to keep himself aware of the rabbit's two skills. The Rabbit Killer suddenly dashes past him, leaving him confused and scared. As the monster hangs on the wall, it shoots out an ice arrow at the protagonist. He easily shatters the arrow with his sword and moves in to close the gap. The rabbit jumps off the wall and targets him with a jump kick attack. However, the monster misses because the hero can easily predict its movements. He then strikes the monster on its back and digs his blade deeper into the beast, causing the rabbit to fall to its knees. With this, he successfully defeats the monster and clears the trial. He picks up his bloodied axe and watches the monster's body fade away. After that, the exchange pillar appears and starts to level him up. Wenyu is surrounded by a soothing blue aura that engulfs his body. His soul pet then comes out and starts making very excited noises. After that, the system shows him a message, saying that he is now a level 2 soul master, It also tells him that he can only use rank 2 crystals to strengthen his body, and that his soul pet has also leveled up. The soul pet obtains a speed buff skill, and our hero also forms a second soul realm where he can assign a second soul pet. Wenyu recalls the familiar feeling of leveling up and growing much stronger. Seeing his new stats and that of his soul pet makes him very excited to test it all out. The system rains on his party by reminding him that he'll be teleported back to the city in seconds. As the teleportation circle appears, he hopes that he won't bump into the mutant lion when he gets out. As he thinks about how to survive, he recalls the mutant's dog resilient skill and wishes he could have it. A vortex appears somewhere in the city, and the protagonist is launched out of it. As he sticks his landing, he hopes that luck is on his side. He then looks to the side and sees that the mutant lion and dog are engaged in a heated battle. The mutant dog is overwhelmed and falls to the might of Simba. Wenyu, who is watching, doesn't see this as a very nice situation for him as well. The lion lets out a loud roar and charges up its fire breath to finish off the dog. As it holds down the dog to deliver the final blow, the hero sees that he can't run away either. The lion sinks its claws into the dog, and just as it's about to roast it, the dog's eyes suddenly spark open. Simba blows out its dangerous fire, setting the whole place ablaze. But when the smoke clears, neither the dog nor our hero can be seen. The lion is filled with frustration and anger. As it looks around the area, the beast sees the protagonist running away with the dog. It immediately starts chasing them down as fast as it can. Meanwhile, the hero is trying to remind the dog about how they used to be neighbors. As the mutant dog looks up at him, he tells it that neighbors should help out each other. The mutant dog looks at him with a keen expression in its eyes. It then recalls meeting the protagonist for the first time. Back then, Wenyu gave the stray dog some food as the nice person he was. Now that they are both in a dire situation, he tells the dog that he needs its skill and strength to defeat their mutual enemy. He suggests that the dog should sign a contract with him and assures it that they'll become stronger together. The protagonist then starts the contract process, hoping that the dog will agree to work together. As the beast's eyes suddenly grow wide, a bright light bursts out from it. With this, our hero successfully signs the contract with the dog. The mutant lion finally gets close to them and attacks with its flame breath. However, our hero's passive skill activates, causing him to sprint faster. At this point, Simba completely loses all form of composure a beast can have. The protagonist thanks his stars for his passive skill because he would have been turned into a barbecue. Seconds later, he sees that the beast has already caught up with him. The lion tries to bite off his arm, but he dodges the teeth in the nick of time. Despite not wanting to use his teleportation scroll, he doesn't see any other options to take. As he starts to run away again, he whips out his dagger and stabs himself. This causes his berserk rage skill to activate. With his boosted physical abilities, the hero moves as fast as lightning as he sprints away. The scene then shifts to the other hunters from earlier. One of the twins is holding his dead brother and vowing to kill the monster. Tears fill up in his eyes as he clutches his dear brother tightly. As their leader sees the mutant lion in the distance, he swears to kill everyone responsible for his teammate's death. Meanwhile, our hero continues his fleeing mission until he finds a safe building. He quickly goes inside with the dog so that he can treat his wounds as well. Finally, in a safe location, he lets out a sigh of relief and tries to catch his breath. He brings out a healing potion and gulps it down. But the potion's healing effect is taking time to fully heal his wounds. He then remembers that the dog has a recovery skill. He grabs the beast and uses their link to activate the recovery skill. His wounds start healing very fast, thanks to the ability. The accumulated fatigue finally hits Wenyu, and he starts to feel sleepy. He closes his eyes and goes into a deep slumber until the next day. He wakes up with a scared and confused look on his face. Looking down at his wound, the protagonist sees that it has fully recovered. After that, he sees the mutant staring aggressively at him. The dog starts wagging its tail like the happiest animal on the planet. Wenyu looks at its paw and sees that its severed limb has fully grown back. With a joyous smile, he starts petting his new dog. A bright light starts to shine at their point of contact, showing that they have a deep connection. Wenyu then hugs the dog affectionately. He decides that they'll work together to become stronger until they can take down the mutant lion. Suddenly, someone shows up by the window and bursts through the glass. The sound of shattered glass alerts the hero, and he turns to see a horde of zombies breaking into the building. He and his dog quickly take on a defensive stance, but he is surprised to see the monsters in that area. As the zombies get ready to attack, the dog comes to the front line to defend its master. Suddenly, the protagonist hears the sound of screeching tires. An armored truck crashes into the building, killing all the zombies in its path. He and his mud are confused by the sudden appearance of the vehicle and whoever the crazy drivers are. One of the people in the truck starts complaining about how the brakes aren't working. The hunter then calls to any survivors who might still be in the area. They see our hero, who tells them that he's doing all right. After that, the guy offers to give Wenyu a ride out of the area. After thinking about it, he decides to accept the offer and go with them. He approaches the truck and climbs onto it. There, he sees some other hunters wearing bulletproof vests. The remaining zombies start rushing towards them, so the guy tells the driver, Huzi, to get them out of there. The driver quickly starts the car and stomps on the pedal. He tells the rest of them to sit tight for the bumpy ride. As the car flies above the zombies, the hunters bring out a fishing net to capture the monsters all at once. They toss it out and are able to capture a lot of zombies. Our hero gets kind of excited when he sees the fish net. He recalls that it's a method used to capture low-level zombies. The unit leader tells him that they want to take back the zombies for their other members who haven't gotten their class yet. The car then zooms off with the captured zombies. The leader then asks Wenyu about how he got his pet dog. The hero tells him that it was through a hidden profession. The other bald guy hears this and is surprised to find out about hidden professions in their world. The protagonist also informs the leader that the mutant lion chased him and that he sought refuge in the cabin to heal his wounds. He then stretches his hand and properly introduces himself. The leader introduces himself as Sun Rui Xing and says he's from a place nearby where many survivors are taking refuge. As they approach the base, Rui Xing's face lights up with a huge smile. On the other hand, our hero is shocked by what he sees. The leader then welcomes him to the base known as Yahello Town. As the gates open, a multitude of people are seen walking out. They are all happy to see Rui Xing return with a lot of zombies for them. The people start praising him for how he helps to give more people the chance to get their classes. As the truck drives inside, the people surround it and start hailing their boss. Rui Xing tells the hero that he used to be a truck driver before the apocalypse happened. He gathered all the neighbors in his neighborhood so that they could all help each other survive. He then asks Wenyu to explain the situation in the city, since their plan to investigate failed due to the number of zombies. The protagonist agrees to explain after hearing that the people are hoping to take refuge in the government shelters. However, he knows that their hopes won't work because the city officials aren't in a position to help them. Rui Xing then tells his people to shut up so they can listen to Wenyu. The people all have smiles on their faces, hoping that the government won't abandon them. He then introduces the protagonist to them and tells them to hear what he has to say. With a confused and stern look on his face, the hero breaks the bad news and tells them that the city's situation is very bad. One of the refugees starts calling the protagonist a liar and a fugitive, but Wenyu doesn't care if they believe him or not. The whole crowd gets angry at him, saying that there's no way the government would ever abandon them. What a bunch of fools. Rui Xing tries to calm down by saying that he'll go to the city the next day to confirm the situation. Upon hearing this, the refugees demand to be brought along with their boss. The leader tells them to calm down and that they'll talk about it the next day. While the crowd is still arguing, we see some shady guys in a dark alley. They are talking about how to take over the town once Rui Xing goes to the city. The blonde-haired guy assures his subordinate that the leader won't come back once he leaves. He tells his fellow traitor that he'll know the reason when the time comes. As the leader tries to calm down his people, our hero notices the shady guys who are discussing far away. However, the guys also notice that they have been discovered. Later on, the protagonist tells Rui Xing that he doesn't care about the crowd and asks if the boss has been living in that town ever since. The leader tells him that he has been transporting goods since the doomsday and he doesn't even know the situation of his daughter. The hero assures the man that his daughter is most likely safe. After that, Rui Xing asks the protagonist to help protect the town while he goes to the city the next day. He also offers to provide any kind of help that Wenyu might need. Moments later, as a mutant rat sniffs around the area, it tries to eat a plant it sees. Suddenly, the plant grabs the rat and pulls it underground without a trace. The scene then shifts to the traders, who are meeting up with some other people. The blonde guy known as Mayor Li tells a man known as Sun that he must not let Rui Xing become the king of the town. The old man vows to carry out the plan even if his life is at stake. Li gives the man an incense stick and tells him to light it on the vehicle the next day. After that, Sun heads back home to get some rest. Feeling doubtful about the old man, Li's subordinate asks the mayor if it's a good idea to leave the task to Sun. Li believes the man will carry it out because he is trusted as the official mayor of the town. As he talks about how the people have betrayed their leader, another dude approaches Li with a grim look on his face. The mayor refers to him as Lin Hu and tells him to relax. On the other hand, Lin Hu says that he has talked to the patrol team and the mayor will be able to take over with no issues. He then asks about the benefits that were promised to him. Li assures him that he'll get everything and also tells him that the incense is something he got from a treasure trove. The next day, the incense trail can be seen from the truck as Rui Xing heads out with his team. When the leader asks about it, the old man says he lit the incense to pray for peace and safety. However, the incense trail finds its way into the woods and ends up attracting mutant beasts and zombies. The monsters quickly start chasing after it to find the source. As the guys get closer to the city, Rui Xing tells his people to be alert. Meanwhile, back in Lian Town, our hero is alerted when his soul pet leaves his body. The pet starts trying to tell him something, but the words are incoherent. On the other hand, Wen Yu regrets the fact that he agreed to look after the town. On the outside, Mayor Li and his fellow traders head towards the center of the town. The citizens become paranoid when they see the mayor being followed by soldiers. Lin Hu then approaches Li and greets him. The guy introduces himself to everyone as Lian Quan, the mayor of the town. He tells them that he's responsible for the town's rescue operations that are being carried out. Lai continues with his brainwashing by telling the people that Rui Xing has betrayed them by trying to become a king. The people are baffled by all this news they are hearing. The mayor also tells them that he's there to take them back to the official camp, where they will be safe from the zombies and mutant beasts. Slowly, the people start believing the lies about their leader, feeling betrayed by him. Li then asks if they're willing to follow him back to the camp. Without hesitation, the refugees quickly agree to follow him and are happy to hear that the government didn't really abandon them. The mayor tells them to queue up at the vehicles waiting for them. Suddenly, he gets interrupted by the protagonist, who arrives at the scene to stop his evil plots. The hero tells him that he assured the boss the camp would be safe until his return. Despite not wanting to get involved, he refuses to let anyone leave the town. Mayor Li tells him to get lost and stop interfering in their business. Wen Yu looks at the mayor with a stern expression and repeats that no one is allowed to leave the town until morning. Li then threatens him with his goons, asking if he thinks he's strong enough to stop them. The hero tells him that he'll soon understand the situation there. While the mayor is still confused, our hero releases his pet dog to teach the goons a lesson. As the dog jumps out, it lets out a ferocious roar at the thugs. Li and his people try to shield themselves from the sheer force of the roar. As the mutant dog gets ready to rip them to shreds, its master tells it to leave the mayor and all those without a profession. Confused and scared for his life, Li wonders why the protagonist has a mutant beast. The dog leaps at his targets and starts to rip them to shreds. As blood spills all over the place, the goons start to beg for mercy, but there's no hope for them. When it has killed enough people, the protagonist tells the beast to stop. Li is scared for his life and still doesn't understand what Wen Yu is trying to tell him. The hero lets him know that he is just a wimp and has no power in the town. After that, Wen Yu walks away from the foolish weakling. As he walks to a building, he tells Li to stay put until Rui Xing returns. When he opens the door, he sees a terrified mother and her child trying to remain silent. With no other choice, the stupid mayor tells his subordinates that they can't do anything but wait for the boss to return. One of the soldiers calls out to him, saying that he has something to report. The guy is scared to the bone when he sees the mutant dog and all the slaughtered people. However, Li tells him to make his report quickly. The guy yells out that Rui Xing is currently heading back to the town with his vehicle. We see Rui Xing's truck going at full speed straight for the town. Driving with blood-red eyes, he tells himself that he can't die until he sees his daughter. A few hours before this event, we see him talking with the old man and saying that they'll reach the city in about half an hour. He suddenly hears one of his comrades warning about mutant beasts that have shown up. When he gets a look at the situation, he sees the two trucks are in flames, and the monsters have surrounded everyone. The boss tells the driver of the truck to quickly get them out of there as fast as possible. Sadly, the bald guy tells him that it's already too late. Back in the present time, the protagonist is shocked to see the leader's truck flying above the trees. As the car crashes into the gate, he quickly recognizes whose vehicle it is. Wen Yu runs towards the explosion to save Rui Xing. While shielding himself from the flames, he breaks open the door and sees the leader in a bad condition. Rui Xing tells our hero that all his men have died, leaving Wen Yu completely baffled. The protagonist looks into the distance and sees a horde of mindless zombies and mutant beasts heading straight for the town. The refugees run for their poor lives as the monsters break into the base, wreaking havoc. Rui Xing tells the hero to leave him as a mutant beast leaps towards them. However, Wen Yu's dog comes to the rescue, and the protagonist tells the man that he won't be dying that day. The dog starts fighting off a bunch of other mutant beasts that quickly surround it. Wen Yu assures the old man that his pet can handle all the beasts since they are at a low level. Regardless, the dog is still going to have a tough fight against them. It throws off some beasts around itself and activates its berserk skill. With the power of its sharp teeth and strong jaws, it bites off the head of one of the beasts. As the hero watches the fight, he sees that his pet will only have a significant increase in combat power when it has a severe injury. However, the dog is able to slaughter all the beasts and walk back to its master. Wen Yu decides to give his pet a good recovery ability when he finds a beast soul with the skill. He boasts about his pet being a war beast rather than a normal pet. After that, Rui Xing humbly thanks the hero for saving his life. The protagonist picks up a crystal from the defeated beast and applies its effects to himself. He then tells the boss about how Lin Hu betrayed him and how Mayor Li wanted to take the people away to a different location. After that, the hero takes his leave, but the man stops him momentarily. Rixing asks Wen Yu if he thinks what he's doing at the base is the right thing. Our hero isn't sure, but he asks the man if he's doing it for himself or for the refugees. As the boss tells him that it's for the refugees, Wen Yu tells him that he can either continue leading the people like he's already doing, or join Li's base, which has a better chance of survival. After hearing him out, the boss confronts Mayor Li and asks him to join his base to guarantee the survival of the remaining people. Li gladly accepts the request and says they'll be fighting together to stop the disaster. After that, the mayor suggests that they recruit our hero, but the leader tells him that Wen Yu isn't someone who likes to be in one place for long. With things settled, the protagonist leaves the town before the mutant lion comes looking for him. Half an hour later, we see our hero walking through a farmland to reach the next town. As he notices something strange, he tells his pet dog to speak more softly. He then tells the dog to scout ahead first to make sure the coast is clear. However, the poor mutt isn't too happy about this dangerous plan. His master wishes him luck and rushes ahead to scan the area. Moments later, the dog gets caught by some strange plants. It tries to fight its way out, but the plants are stronger than they look. Meanwhile, our hero sees that the area really is dangerous for them. His poor pet is now completely bound by the vines and has no way of escaping. As the dog cries out for help, Wen Yu activates his soul realm to save the dog. It disappears from the plant's grasp and appears beside his master once again. The protagonist congratulates the mutt on finding out the dangers ahead. After that, the dog senses some vines that shoot out of the ground and aims straight for Wen Yu. Just before the vines can tie him up, the protagonist equips his blade and slashes it. He analyzes the vines that are still trying to reach him and notices that the plants have a limited attack range. He then tells his dog to scan in a different direction since there aren't many mutant plants. As the dog heads off in a different direction, it sees something that is trapped by the vines. However, the plants reach for the beast once they notice its presence. The mutant dog gets trapped again, but the hero saves his pet with the soul realm. He commends his dog on a job well done. From his analysis, he sees that the mutant plants can freely move underground and attack anyone. Despite how limited their attack range is, the plants are bound to completely engulf Yelin town in a matter of time. Our hero thinks of changing the situation by having more people to attract the attention of the plants. As night falls, we see a couple of refugees around a big campfire. Inside one of the tents, Rixing tells Li that the arrangements for the old people are inappropriate. When the mayor asks what he means, the boss tells him that assigning the old people to do hard labor will make them have lots of complaints. Li explains that it's better to have the old guys do something since they can't really fight. As he assures the man that he'll take care of the elderly, Rixing hopes that the mayor will keep his promise. As the boss steps out, Li tells his comrade not to rush things, because Rixing is more useful to them. He then tells the guy to fake an accident and clean up the people who just joined the camp. One of the guards comes in and tells Li that the protagonist has arrived at their camp. Mayor Li is completely shocked when he sees the hero waltz into the tent like he owns the place. He nervously greets Wen Yu while trying not to act suspicious. As they shake hands, Li asks the hero why he came back to the town. The protagonist tells him that neither himself nor the townspeople can leave yet. He explains that the whole town is surrounded by mutant plants, but the mayor thinks he's joking. This guy really is just a big idiot. Wen Yu tells him to check things out for himself if he doesn't believe him. Wen Yu tells him the plan is to have a lot of people draw the attention of the plants so that someone can rush out. Of course, Li doesn't think the people will agree to carry out the plan. Our hero tells him that the path won't be opened up for himself, but instead, it'll be for Li and his people. As he pours a cup of water, Wen Yu tells Li that he will go ahead to draw most of the pressure while the mayor's men will follow behind. The more people that are there, the more the vines will be dispersed, and only those with good combat ability will survive. Wen Yu doesn't mind taking the lead and even using some people as cannon fodder. Nevertheless, Mayor Li still finds it hard to believe the hero's words. He explains that the town is too big for zombies to surround, so it's less like that mutant plants will be able to. Suddenly, the walls of the room crack and a truck bursts inside. As they try to figure out what's going on, Rixing comes down from the vehicle and tells them that the town is doomed. 20 minutes later, the town's leaders, troops, and our hero assemble at a table for a meeting. The boss quickly objects to the plan, stating that the mayor is sending innocent people to their deaths. Since he disagrees with the plan, the mayor asks him what other ways he can think of to help everyone escape the disaster. Regardless, Rixing remains stubborn, refusing to agree with them. He is shocked to hear that Wen Yu is the one who came up with the plan. The protagonist tells him that it's not logical to abandon strong people and save the weaklings. He tells him that they can either die together or proceed with the plan he proposed. Wenyu tries to explain that having additional people in the vehicle is important to draw the attention of the mutant plants. To make things easier, he asks Rui Xing if his life is more important than that of other people. In the end, the man can't utter a word to answer the question. With no one else objecting to the plan, Li tells them to get ready to carry out the plan the next day. If anyone doesn't leave, he orders his soldiers to give them a quick death instead of letting them suffer. As Rui Xing leaves, he calls the mayor and the hero a bunch of cold-blooded murderers. When he leaves, the mayor tells the protagonist that he has an item he obtained from the treasure land. He suggests that the hero follows him there to look for more items that they need. Wenyu tells him to wait while he makes a few preparations to be safe. He then heads over to an exchange pillar to boost his attributes. He browses through the store and buys a non-attribute crystal. After purchasing it, he is left with 400 points. After crushing the crystal and applying its effects, his attribute points increase to 25. With this, he is ready to enter the treasure land. He meets back with the mayor and asks him where the treasure land is. Lai tells him the location is in his room and ushers the hero inside. As they go inside, Li tells him he made the place his room because of the treasure land. The protagonist then tells the mayor to go into the trove first. As Li enters, he promises that he has no plans to hurt our hero. After that, Wenyu follows him into the treasure land. When they get inside, Li shows him 3 paths with treasure chests at the end of each of them. Only one person can open a single chest, and the mayor has already opened the one on the middle path. The mayor explains that he didn't let his comrades open a chest because it would just cause him more trouble. After that, they head off to check the path on the left first. They easily cross through until they reach the location of the chest. The protagonist opens the chest, hoping that it doesn't disappoint him, but something pops up in his face. A doll appears and starts laughing at the hero. Wenyu tries to snag the annoying doll, but it's quicker than it looks. With no other choice, he tells the mayor to find someone else who can open the last chest. The hero opens his soul realm and brings out his one-eyed dog, so they can kill all the zombies at the last chest's location. They head into the path and start tearing down the monsters effortlessly. A figure appears behind him, and he moves to kill before seeing that it's just Li and a refugee. The mayor apologizes for not calling out and tells him that he has brought someone with a profession. Wenyu then says they should quickly head over to open the chest. When they get there, he tells the refugee to open the chest and hand over whatever he finds. As the guy opens it, a bright light shines from the inside. There, he sees a rare skill scroll and the protagonist tells him to hand it over. The guy grabs it and immediately starts trying to escape with the item. Sadly, he can't mess with the power of plot armor. Wenyu leaps to the guy's front and quickly beheads him. The guy's dead body falls to the ground and the protagonist picks up the scroll. He states that anyone who steals from him is looking for death. As he looks at the scroll, he sees that it contains an ability that enables parts of his body to pass through any object. After reading through, Mayor Li seems to be more excited than the hero himself. Wenyu thanks Li for leading to something so valuable and rare. As they head out, Li tells him that the guy he killed has a little brother, but the boy is too dumb. Poor kid. The protagonist then tells the mayor to kill the boy. Since when is this guy a murdering maniac? After that, Wenyu tells him to call if any situation arises. He heads to his room and lies down to get some good rest. Someone then knocks on his door to deliver his food. As the person walks in, our hero sees the hottest chick he has ever come across in his life. She introduces herself as Bai Fei Fei and apologizes for disturbing him. He tells her to put the food on the table while blushing like a desperate man. After she sets it down, he asks if there's anything else she has to do. Fei Fei tells our hero that she wants to have an interaction with him. Since she knows what's going to happen the next day, she offers to make a deal with him. She asks the protagonist to protect her younger brother, Bai Xiao, and in return she offers herself. However, our hero has no plans to burden himself when he isn't even sure if he can escape himself. He refuses her and asks her to leave. Regardless, she humbly pleads and offers to do anything if her brother is safe. Wenyu pops out his mutant dog and asks it to send the lady away. Fearing for her life, the lady runs away to save herself. Meanwhile, our hero is thanking his stars for having enough willpower and not being a degenerate scum. The next day, the refugees are gathered outside, and the mayor tells them that they need to head to the next safe town before the mutant plants take over. However, the people don't understand why they have to leave the town. The mutated plants suddenly appear and start dragging people into the woods. On the other hand, our hero becomes very nervous when he sees that the plants have started appearing. As chaos erupts in the area, Fei Fei can be seen running to safety with her brother. Mayor Li tells the people that they can either charge out of the town with him, or remain behind and die. They decide to follow him after seeing that they have little chance of survival if they stay behind. However, some others decide to stay behind and look for a way to survive. Those who decide to stay behind are suddenly approached by some soldiers. The soldiers start killing them off, leaving the poor people confused and terrified. Mayor Lee jumps down from the truck and tells them that those who decide to stay behind will be killed off. When they are asked if they still want to remain behind, the people don't see much of a choice anymore. With no objections, Lee loads all of them into the trucks, and they head out. The mayor and the protagonist get into the same vehicle and head together. The mutant plants watch as all the vehicles drive off. Wenyu tells the mayor to keep everyone alert because the plant blockade is ahead of them. Lee quickly tells his people that they are about to charge into the blockade. When they get to the farmland, the protagonist senses that something is strange in the area. They suddenly see the plants rushing at them from the side instead of the front. The vines crash into the vehicles and manage to grab some people as well. Wenyu starts to cut them as he sees that the plants were waiting to ambush them. He jumps off the truck and charges in with his mutant pet. When they get closer to the crops, they hear the cries of people begging to be saved from the vines. However, our MC decides to use this chance to run away while the vines are being distracted. A mutant plant then shoots out of the ground and heads straight for him. He manages to slash it in the nick of time before getting trapped. Sadly, his soul pet ends up getting tangled by the plants. He uses his soul realm to save the dog before it's too late. He tells the mutt that they are finally safe thanks to the people who were used as bait. Meanwhile, Rui Xing is trying to hold off the mutant plants and give everyone else an opportunity to escape. But more people keep getting tangled and trapped by the vines. Even Fei Fei's younger brother also gets taken by the plants, but she tries her best to save him. As the vines aim at her, Lee moves in to cut them and save her. He tells her to follow him closely, and that he'll save her because of how loyal she has been. If only he knew what she was doing the previous night. The mayor takes her brother, and they start running to escape the plants. He uses his clone skills to bait the plants while they run away. Meanwhile, our hero, who is now safe, is wondering how many of the people will be able to escape the mutant plants. He suddenly gets alert when he sees some evil eyes staring at him from a nearby bush.